I like the double. I like the double.
Better
winning.
safe than sorry.
I agree with you. It's a great point by you.
All righty.
Yeah. I think that's better. I don't know. Who cares? Ready to roll?
Yes.
All right. Hello. Hello. Hey, hello. It is the Go Birds podcast presented by the Bet Park Sportsbook and Casino app. Elliot Shore Park, James Seltzer with you. What up, B?
What up? How's it
How
going?
you doing, pal?
Feels like spring outside,
Spring is sprung.
if not summer. How hot do you think it has to be before it feels like summer and not spring?
80.
That's fair.
Right?
That's what I was thinking in my head.
High 70s. You could probably get away with it depending on how much wind there is, if you get a cool breeze or not, you know.
Well, it's finally not windy.
Thank God.
It's been windy for literally
aggressively
forever.
windy. Like aggressively windy.
Wind's my new rain. Like I'm not as afraid of it, but just in terms of like tracking
good
it.
to know.
Like I can tell you.
Wind
Like if you ever text me and you're like, "What's the wind?" You'd be like, "Today I could probably
tell
you."
15 degrees northwest.
Well, that's just miles per hour. We're probably looking 35 gusts. Yeah, something like that. But no, it's.
I had no idea you had graduated on the wind.
I don't know if graduate's the way to put it. It's like depressingly moved on to. Would maybe be the better way to say it.
Yes.
It is nice though.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I feel like it's been so like dreary and stuff. And I have a very random observation if you're ready.
I'm always ready for your random observation. It's
Okay.
all I ever really come here
So
for.
here's what I would say.
Do I really want to talk draft? Not really. That's when you hear random observation.
I actually have a ton of draft stuff.
Good.
So as you know, I have Union season ticket holders.
I do.
Right?
Yes.
I'm a Union season ticket holder
Some
this year.
say the number one Union.
Many say that.
There,
yeah.
Yes. It's the thing that said.
You know what I've noticed? Their games are like always at the worst possible time. Like for the sport to grow. So tonight it's beautiful outside. It's like it's nice. I want to go to the game tonight. The Sixers play the Celtics.
Yeah.
Just like, and then the first few games it's been raining. I feel like the Union might be a bad luck franchise.
Oh no.
I think they need to do something about like honestly just show the Sixers Celtics on the Jumbotron.
There you go.
Like let's just embrace it. It would be a great night to go to watch the game and be able to watch both.
It's a good take by you.
Just
Don't
say
pay attention to our sport. Pay attention to the other sport happening.
Well, just pay attention to both.
Minutes from here.
Pay attention to both.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's because I'm not going to go tonight because I want to watch Sixers Celtics.
Even though it's kind of a meaningless Sixers game.
Yeah, but I do think it matters.
Does it?
Yeah.
I
I think it does. I have a Phillies take for you too.
We're just getting them all in. I like these. Sure, go ahead.
I think the
Can't wait
Phillies
for this.
the Phillies really highlight what winners the Eagles are and what like losers the Phillies are.
Really? That's the
the take.
How so?
I'm a little worried that last year was just a mirage in the playoffs and they just might be losers. And the Eagles are not that. Like the Eagles win consistently pretty much all the time. You can always count on them to win besides the one down year they had, right? Like I think the Phillies are going to be good. I'm into it, all that
Doesn't
stuff.
sound like it.
Well, I'm a little worried like that maybe they're just not winning team.
This is a great take. The losingest team in the history of North American
that's what I'm
sports
saying,
is not
right.
a winning team. It's
Yes.
a really
But it's not just that. I'm talking about the last like 5 years. Or
yeah, they're the losingest team in the history of sports.
Right.
The Phillies are awful. They've always been awful. We've had like two little windows.
That's what I'm a little worried about.
Yes, great take.
But it's really only one window of success if you think about it, because it was
It was two. It was the late 70s.
Oh, sorry, I'm just thinking like
your lifetime.
Yeah,
I know. I'm saying I'm talking the history of the franchise.
Right.
I'm talking since 1883,
Yeah.
Elliot. They've had two windows of success.
Right.
Yes, they are losers, the biggest losers.
It's a little concerning.
Yeah, history is a good take. For
Yeah.
the Phillies. Yeah.
So those are all my Philly sports takes.
Good. I thought you really I'm happy we got those out of the
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Hopefully the draft talk's better than that.
Yeah, well, I got draft stuff.
Even though she will never hear it, happy birthday, Emily Seltzer.
Yes. Very nice.
Literally a less than 0% chance that she will hear it.
Well, who knows?
No, I do.
Okay,
Yeah, she will not hear it. Yeah.
Well, maybe if it was on the radio, there'd be a shot.
Nope.
No shot.
No,
Okay.
Dude, she will be driving in the car knowing that I'm like hosting. It'll be a day
Right.
where like I'm in for Joe or whatever. I'm hosting the show. She's in the car, knows I'm hosting the show, does not listen. So yeah.
So Kristen does listen, I will say. Like there will be a surprising amount of times where I'll come home and she'll make like a reference to something.
Really?
Not the pod, just the radio.
Wow. Yeah, Emily, zero. None
Yeah.
of it. None.
Well,
Zero.
Maybe it's because like I don't know like how like how her like day-to-day job is. I feel like Kristen listens to podcasts throughout the day.
Emily does too, just not
all
ours.
right.
Yeah,
Well then.
yeah, not ours. A lot of murder pods.
Well, still
for
happy
Emily.
birthday.
So a lot of murder pods in Emily's life. Yes.
Those are
she loves
the
her
most
murder
popular pods.
Loves her murder pods.
So me and Kristen like to fall asleep to like 2020s and Datelines, and it's kind of sick when you think about it. Yeah, exactly.
What a strange thing to do.
Yeah. So it is. I feel like the podcast and streaming world has really like desensitized us to that stuff.
That's
in
true.
Some ways.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, there's a great documentary out tonight about someone dying. Should we get special food?
Yeah.
You know?
Should we make a night of it?
Right. Like
we're
meanwhile,
this
poor
documentary
person
about a serial killer.
Exactly.
He killed 33 people. Can you wait?
Yeah. Like that's it. We're getting Chinese.
Great point. That's it. All right. Probably talk some Eagles.
I guess.
I mean, I don't have a ton to say.
So I actually do.
Good.
All right. So
all on you, buddy.
All right. I've been doing a lot of draft prep. Right.
Ooh.
Really getting into the guys.
I mean, it's time. It's April.
Yeah.
The draft
it's
is
time
like
for me
to
learn about these people. Here's my concern that I'm starting to feel. I kind of don't think the number 10 pick is a great pick to have this year.
Not great.
Like, look, you always want to pick higher. All those things are true. It was still a great trade by Howie, and we'll see what it turns into. But when I look at the 10th pick, like, we'll have the Jalen Carter discussion in a minute. But I think the assumption is, well, maybe he'll fall, but maybe he won't. And the Bijan thing is a different conversation. I do like the Ohio State receiver, Jackson Smith, but man, I just don't think like when they had 10 before, there was a lot of options you thought would be there. Like I think Patrick Surtain was one of them, J.C. Horn, Devontae Smith. Like there were guys there where you're like, okay, we can look at this and confidently say they'll come away with a stud player that has a really good chance of being an impact player year one. And I think Bijan checks that box. And there are some of those guys. But it doesn't feel like the 10th pick is this draft doesn't feel like it's 10 players deep on studs. I think that Bijan is the one where you feel confident he'll be there, but he's a running back. So I think they're in a bit of a tough spot where at 10, if you're sitting there and Jalen Carter's on the board at like 7, I would seriously explore trading up for him because one thing I've really started to appreciate since reading up on all these players more is, man, he is really, really good. Like he is like every single thing you read up any draft. Like I have 2 draft things I really trust. Right. And over the years, they're the reason I've always been good at scouting wide receivers, but both that I read were like, there is no flaw. Like it wasn't even
no flaw.
Yeah, it wasn't even like, as well,
player, right?
He could get better at this and like this is a weakness. Like with Jordan Davis, it was, can't rush the passer and there's like stamina issues, but still a great prospect in a lot of ways. With Carter, there is literally, they wrote both of them. We'd be nitpicking if we said a weakness.
Wow.
So when I look at the Eagles and where they're at and the 10th pick and the options there, I think they should, like, their best path on draft night is to do whatever they can get to get Jalen Carter. If it's real and he's actually going to fall and he does get to like 6 or 7 and that team is willing to trade you the pick, I'd give up a 2nd round pick. I think.
Wow.
Like I would, just because now look, I think there's
Would
still
you give up 30?
Not to move up 3s. Well,
because 3 spots that high in the first round it's probably not necessarily first round pick, but it could.
Yeah, no, that's why I said 2nd.
Could
yeah,
be.
And they have a late 2nd. I don't know about that. I would have to think about it because I do like the receiver Jackson Smith out of Ohio State, but I also there's other receivers I like that I think you can get at 32 at 30 as well. So I'm not as in on taking him at 10, but I think if you don't take Jalen Carter, and I like Nolan Smith a little bit, but I think of the 4 players there that I like at 10, like Smith, Jackson, like Bijan and Jalen Carter. I think Jalen Carter is far and away.
I don't think there's any
the
question
best.
about that.
But also he fits a major need.
Yeah.
Like he fits the biggest need they have, which is interior pass rusher. That's the biggest need they have. Fletcher was good at it last year, but with all older players, who knows what he'll give you next year. I like the signing. Don't think they overpaid, but I don't think you can count on him to be your best interior rusher. Jordan Davis, not a pass rusher. Who knows? Maybe he'll develop, but just not a pass rusher. Milton Williams, I think, has upside to do that, but has never played a serious amount of snaps. Jalen Carter comes into the NFL And I think we'll be able to rush the passer right away. He is powerful. So like one thing you read a lot when you read about these draft prospects, like things I look for at pass rushers. If like Luke Van Ness, right? The guy out of Iowa, who I could not be less into.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Right.
And I've not done a ton of research. I'm just like, I'm out on it.
And here's why I don't like him, right? Because they say, and again, look, I'm not breaking down tape. I'm going off draft prospects and draft people, draft scouting reports and draft people that I trust, right? He gets his sacks by pushing people over. I hate that. Yeah. Like that is my number one red flag. Now, Jalen Carter, because of the position in which he plays, there is a lot of the fact that he's very powerful, right? Yes, but also what you read about him and like the limited, YouTube I did watch of him, like he's quick. Like he can push people and he's gone, right? But he's also really good with his hands where he moves people out of the way. So when I look at Jalen Carter, I think there's a chance he can come in next year, week 1, snap 1, and be their best interior rusher. And man, that would be such a big deal for this team. And I also think, as we talked about last offseason, like friendship wins. And Jordan Davis and him have played together. I think he helps Jordan Davis. Like, I think Jalen Carter is far and away the best player you could get in the first round. And it's almost gotten to me with the point where it's like almost Jalen Carter or bust. Like there could be guys that could take a 10 that will sit here and be like, I think he can contribute. I like it. Nolan Smith, but all those guys have question marks. Like as much as I like Jackson Smith, the receiver out of Ohio State, he played 3 games last year with a hamstring injury. That's concerning. Like a hamstring, and I know he's young, but
soft tissues.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. And he was a stud the year before, but 3 games last year with a hamstring injury, right? So that's a concern. Nolan Smith, I really like him. I think that he checks a lot of like advanced stats boxes and all those things. Great athlete, extremely undersized.
Yeah, like really
undersized. So, people compare him to Hassan Reddick, and I think it's a fair comparison. It took Hassan Reddick like 3 or 4 years in a different team before he became an impact edge rusher. So when I look at the options at 10, I'm worried. I'm worried that there are not the players there that can come in and be like the guys right away. I mean, when they got Devontae at 10, he stepped in right away and was the top receiver on the team. And I do like that about Jackson Smith, where I think he has Devontae qualities in that he's an excellent route runner. I think he's like a pro that's played in college, but the injuries are a concern. So I don't know. That's just kind of my overall stance of where I'm at with 10, where if it's not Jalen Carter and let's just say they're not going to take Bijan because he's a running back, I don't know if there's a player there that's a great pick.
Well, so look, there will be players who go in that range or after whatever end up being great players.
For sure.
The draft works and all that. So there are those options there. I can't believe we're even talking about Jalen Carter. Like, I think there's a lot to this, obviously, but I mean, I think a lot of people thought he was just going to be the first pick in the draft,
right,
or the second pick if a quarterback.
Yeah, or whatever. The first non-quarterback.
So the whole process prior to the legal issues, which I'll get into in a sec, but prior to that, like it was just like, all right, this is the guy. Like this is the best guy. Like he's the dude. He's the dude in this draft. So the fact that potentially at 10 or moving up from 10, they could get that guy. I mean, home run. I mean, it's as home runs get, especially to your point when you're talking about their biggest need right now. Like you don't draft that high for need, like we always say, but when you're talking about something that is your biggest need and also a position you believe in, like in your perfect world with that pick, you're taking a defensive or offensive lineman holistically, like based on what you do. So like it makes all the sense in the world. Now, obviously the off the field stuff is the big question that we can't answer, that we don't know. And we know, and you've said this before, you just said it on the radio, and I totally agree with you. The Eagles have done a really good job of evaluating people, people. And
I think especially recently.
They've done a great job with this stuff. And I do think they care about it. I think the way they build their team, they take all this stuff into account. We know culture matters.
Well, and especially at 10, because this is somebody that is, in theory, should be one of the top whatever players, like a impact, like face of the franchise guy. Like Devontae is someone you feel comfortable being that guy. He works hard. He's a great guy, all those things. That is something they have to decide.
Well, I mean, think about it this way. If it is Jalen Carter, specifically him, and he has a chance to be the face of your defense in a few years. Like he has a chance to be, he's your best young, I mean, Hassan Reddick, obviously, but Reddick has already been a free agent. He's got paid. Like he's your best young,
he's your next Fletcher
prospect. Exactly. Like, he's a big part of now and the future. So I'm all in on it. Obviously, I trust them to make the judgment. They have to make that judgment. And I do think that if he's sitting there at 10, there's reasons for that.
Yeah, well,
that's what we just talked about. And that's the rub, right? That's what makes this so difficult, especially for us not having access to him, not having access to Dom and all the information he could dig up and all that type of stuff. But to your point, I trust the Eagles. If they say, all right, I believe in the person, I believe that this is some dumb young mistakes, this and that, I believe in him, I'm good. I'm in. And I'm in football. I mean, football-wise, everyone should be in automatically. Like, there's no question.
Like, he's what they need. He is what they need.
Again, he's probably the best football player in the freaking draft, man.
Yeah.
Like, he's that great. So I'm right there with you on it. I continue to, as this whole plays out, and first it was like, oh, he could drop, out of the first round. Oh, that was crazy. All this stuff. And now, as he gets back, and as Drew Rosen out, there's just meeting with top 10 teams and stuff like that. Like, I think he's going to go in the top 5.
I do. Oh, top 5.
I think he's going to go in the top 5. I think he's going to be like maybe 6, whatever. But I think it's 2 quarterbacks. Maybe Richardson sneaks up there and that changes things.
Yeah.
And then, or someone trades up because they like. And then I don't think any other quarterbacks are going with the Eagles. I think those 3 are going, if that.
Do you think Richardson will be the 3rd?
I think Stroud and Young are locks to go for the Eagles. And I think that Richardson, if I had to bet just based on the way drafts go and stuff like that, with his tools, his talent, I think someone will either go up to get him or one of those teams that needs a quarterback will take him there. But other than that, it's like you said, Will Anderson, and then who's better than Jalen Carter?
That's a tough thing.
That's the only guy you could put in the same class as a player as Jalen.
That's a tough thing when you look at like the best players, and we're getting to the point where we should probably do this on a future pod, like predict 1 through 9 or whatever.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
of course we will.
If it's the 2 quarterbacks, and then I don't think Will Anderson falls just because he's far and away, like he seems like far and away the best edge rusher in the class. And when you take into off the field stuff, you could make an argument he's the best player in the draft.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's like the 2 quarterbacks, you hope a 3rd goes. And then who?
Well, I mean, it's like those corners are in
the
there.
Corners, but I don't.
Scolari will go somewhere in that range. And there are these people, but that's the point you're making. And I think it's a great point in that, the draft, the way this draft shakes out with the elite or whatever you want to say, the more elite talent in the draft, like other than Anderson and Carter, like none of it matches up with what they need right now. And again, that's not and Bijan, that's its own thing. Like, and that's not the way to draft, but at the same time, it's not ideal when you're trying to bring this team to the Super Bowl and you have dudes who could make a massive difference.
So, and we're just thinking out loud here. Like, I don't know, man, maybe you do trade 30 and go up to 5.
Dude, look,
if you think Jalen Carter passes your, dog mentality test or whatever, I think there's a strong argument for packaging 30. I mean, this could be a team. This could be a player that is not just the face of your defense, the heart of your defense, like the heart of your pass rush, right? And one thing I think that gets maybe underrated a little bit is that one of the reasons the edge rushers were able to be so good last year is because the middle of the line was so good, right? And I'm Mr. Offense. Like, I get all that, draft an offensive guy at 10. I'm in. But man, Jalen Carter could come here and just could be the guy.
He'd be transcendent.
He could be the guy.
And here's the thing too, with this team, and look, Howie is great at wheeling and dealing, and he's great at looking ahead. That's why they have this 10th pick now and all that. So I'm not going to say they're not going to be drafting this high again or whatever, but likely with Jalen Hurts as your quarterback, they're at least going to be a certain level of competitive for most of the next few years or whatever. Right. So your chances to get a guy like Jalen Carter, who again, without the off the field stuff, is a top 3 pick in most drafts. Mm-hmm. Like if you get a chance to get that type of guy, it's almost like you have to do what it takes to make it happen. Well, if you believe in the off the field.
What do you think about the smoke? Like maybe he'll be there at 10, the bad pro day, like teams taking him off their board. Like, what do you make of that? I can't decide if it's real.
So it's so hard with this, and that we're getting into that time with the agents and the smoke. And that, I mean, Laramie Tunsil, we all remember that whole thing. And that was a picture.
I mean, that was,
But again, that's like, like what Laramie Tunsil did, way less. Like, no matter what they decide with Jalen Carter just being involved in what he was involved in is way worse than Laramie Tunsil wearing a freaking wheel thing on his face. You know what I mean? Like, so it is a real conundrum and really difficult. I make that more as I think he's going to go top 5, top 6. So like, I don't buy that stuff, but it's fascinating to again, it all comes down to what they know that we don't and how they evaluate the guy. And
let me ask you a hypothetical.
Yeah.
Let's say you're sitting there on draft night and you have the team at like, we'll just say 5 or 6, whatever. And you're Howie and you're sitting there and you can trade from 10 to 5 or 6 to draft. Like you will draft Jalen Carter if you make this trade. You have to trade 30. So you go 10 and 30 to move up to get Jalen Carter. You're sitting there and the information you're getting is like from Dom or, whatever, is I feel pretty good about him.
Not like 100%.
He's not sitting there and going, he's not going,
I would stake my reputation.
I would let him date my dog. Like he's not saying that, but he's going, you know what? I think I'd feel okay bringing him in.
Oh man, what a great hypothetical. Because like, again, as you're doing the hypothetical before you finish, I'm thinking like, all right, to trade 30, like I need to be sure. I need to know. But like, that's like kind of sure.
That's what I mean. He's like, and look, I'm sure that I would imagine that they have a more definitive opinion.
Yes, I don't think they will go and be like,
I don't think I don't with 30 seconds on the clock. They're like, well, I don't know now that you ask, but I think I'm willing to take the risk.
I think I am too. I'm torn on it again because 30 could be a really good football player. It helps you, but my gut says that if you have a chance, if you are sold on Jalen Carter as off the field and you have a chance to get him, you get him. You just go get him.
Would you take the sure thing of Bijan and keep 30 though?
No.
Because to me, Bijan...
But it's tough. I don't like the idea of trading. I'm getting uncomfortable talking about trading 30. So I get it. And look, I do think...
Well, the issue is also you don't pick late until the second.
Think Howie's going to wheel and deal, especially your point, whether it's moving up to get Carter if he can, but if he can't, like, to your point, if there's no one at 10, they'll move back.
I would consider moving back.
Yeah.
Now, but here's the deal. We've said often that, what you have to get out of 10 is just a guy. Right? If you trade back to 16, then I think we need to remove. Now, I know in at that point, you should still get a player you project to be a starter for you. But in my opinion, in this draft at 16 or 17, I don't think, and especially with this roster, you're not getting like a day one impact starter.
Unless it's Bijan.
Yeah. I agree with that.
He could fall that
far, in theory he could. I think that the Bijan pick at 10 is you're sitting on the clock. There's nothing there. Nobody really Bijan is far away. Like that's the way you take Bijan. But I think, just the more I look at this draft, I don't like any of the corners at 10. Don't like it. Don't like Christian Gonzalez. Don't really like Devin Witherspoon. I think Joey Porter Jr. is early there. I don't see a path to them getting on the field, barring injury, in the next 2 years because I think Slay and Bradbury are going to be here. I'm not in on a quarterback with the corner, obviously, not quarter. Yeah. Not in with a cornerback on the 10th pick. I'm out on that.
So I wouldn't say that I'm fully out on it, but it's not my preference. I do like Gonzalez more than you. I think that dude's super talented, but again, to your point, and look, they do need youth at corner moving forward. They will. I mean, Slay is 32.
Right.
Bradbury's 30. It's not like those guys. And Bradbury, is 30. So, Slay's been good these last years.
I think you hope you're getting.
But if you get 2 more years out of Slay, then you do need someone to replace him after that. And to the point we just made, the chance you're going to be picking a cornerback in the top 10 again is not as high.
But the issue, I think you can get corners later. And when I say later, I mean, in a year or 2, they could draft a corner at 28 or wherever they're going to be.
But I mean, to your point, you just made about Surtain and Horn. Those guys are awesome, and they're both top 10 picks.
I agree. I think
it goes both ways. Of course, you can get anyone anywhere, and they could work out.
And I know you have to pick a player at 10 where you're not fully taking the roster into consideration, and you're not fully taking where they're at. I get that. But also, you have to pick a player you think is going to get on the field.
Absolutely.
The player you draft at 10 or wherever.
He can't sit for 2 years.
He can't sit for, frankly, I don't even think he can sit for 1 year, but he definitely can't sit for 2 years. Jordan Davis barely played last year, whatever percent.
He got hurt.
I'm pre-injury. He was not on the field a ton, right? So that you almost understand it a little bit because he's such an athletic freak that you're we understand.
And also, they had a great team.
Yes, that's part of it
too. Very good, and they have dudes they could move in and out and stuff. It wasn't oh, we're really hurting for a player. Let's not play Jordan Davis. You know what I mean?
And yeah, I mean, when you say that, maybe you do draft someone that you develop, but I get
your point. Look, ideally, especially when you have picked this high in the draft, but you're not
and a chance to win the Super Bowl.
And that's the key.
Right.
I want to get into that in a sec. All right, but first, download the BetParx Sportsbook and Casino app. I mean, we just went through the tournament. It was a blast. Minus, one team just rolling to the win.
You want to know what's crazy about the tournament?
Sure.
So Kristen came in like 9,000 overall on ESPN.
Wow, that's amazing.
Of like 3 million or something.
Wow.
She literally picked the two teams that were in the final.
No, she didn't.
She did.
She picked UConn and San Diego State in the final.
I swear on my life. Yeah, she picked the final.
That is unbelievable.
Right?
You wish you'd won money off.
I've said, well, that's where I was going with this. Well, she did win, like $100, right? Which, look, don't get me wrong, 10 of it's for me.
Hey,
so but imagine if she would have bet the odds on that final.
And she could have.
Yes,
with the
that's the point I'm making.
Sportsbook is and now
if you're going to be right, at least
make some money off it.
Right.
And then enjoy watching it even more because you got some money on
Well, last night she goes, what time's the game on? And I'm like,
what?
I don't even really want to. Yeah. But
late was the answer to that.
Well, dude, 9 o'clock.
What are we doing here?
Yeah,
that's
started
beside
at 7.
the point.
First of all, they're kids.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It's a great point.
Yeah, have school the next day.
And baseball back, all kinds of options to bet. But I was going to home runs, strikeouts, individual player performances, bet on teams to win, other than our team because they don't win.
Well, I do think a live alert here. Keep an eye, maybe. Now I started by saying they're losers, but
you did
keep an eye on maybe their divisional odds really drop.
Ooh.
Like it's a long season. There's an overreaction.
I like this. Look at you. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I see this guy. He's become such a great bettor.
It's only I ever won.
And that's because of the BetParx Sportsbook and Casino app. And again, coming up in the BetParx Picks Pod later this week. Or later today if you're watching the video.
Or
we're
now.
going to do football futures. The football futures are up. You can bet on football futures. We always talk about getting out in front of it. If you think a team's going to do something in the draft, you think a trade's going to be made, if you think Lamar Jackson signing with, get out in front of this stuff. They're oddsing in front of us. So that's coming up later. You can do it all with the BetParx Sportsbook Casino app. And of course, a $10 excuse me. There we go.
You got it. You're normally
I
so
got
good
it
with
now.
this.
I know. Well, it's because it's a new deal. All new users bet $10 and get $125 in sportsbook bonus if your first bet is a winner. That is a no-brainer right there. New users and winning bets only.
That is a no-brainer.
No-brainer. Sports bonus bet must be wagered once. See website for details. You must be 21 and present in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right.
We were talking about win before.
We were talking about win, and let me tell you.
And all I could think about was how protected I feel now.
Yes. Well, Window Nation is kind of my safety blanket.
They should be.
I had a blanket pretty late until not super late. Again, 5 or 6. I'm not 20. But it is nice to know that as I am a homeowner and that there are things that could go wrong with the house literally all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It is nice to know that a family of the pod is Window Nation because they give us these sheets, right? Where it's all these facts about things they do. And some of them are pretty unbelievable. They measure each window 3 times to ensure proper fit. The other thing that they put out was 96% of the jobs they do require no callback. Think how nice that would be.
That's amazing.
You just get it over with. I think when you're a homeowner,
I feel like nothing I do in my home is a no callback.
Right, exactly.
I'm just waiting for the next time I have to
tell me
back.
about it. And the pod listeners have heard the drama I've had with my house before Window Nation.
Yes.
But I do think it's nice when you have to pay something for your house, you just want to pay it and get it over with. And Window Nation helps you do that because they do it right. They have guys that have done it a ton of times. They have over 10,000 online positive reviews. That's
10,000?
a lot.
Wow.
I mean, especially for
a
a window company, I don't think there's a lot of people being out there. Let me passionately go review windows, but they do a phenomenal job. And as we said, with the weather, it's been, you want to make sure you have good windows, especially now that it's summertime. You want the windows going up and down, no problem. Big windows, cool windows, windows all over. Window Nation is who you go to for. So as we've said before, everybody loves a smart investment, and there's no better place to put your money right now than in your home. And if your home is 20 years or older, Window Nation has the perfect offer for you. This offer is insanely dope. Get 0% financing for 5 years. So 0% financing, 5 years, simply unheard of. I never see 5 years, 0 interest anywhere. 0 interest for 5 years. Plus, Window Nation will give you 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. Protect and increase the value of your home. And so how do you get in touch with them? You call 866-90-NATION or you go online at windownation.com and tell them Go Bird sent you.
That's right.
Tell them Go Bird sent you.
Tell them.
And really, you could tell them Go Birds almost scared you into doing it because you have to protect your house.
Hey, whatever it takes. I don't care.
I'm trying to help you guys.
Get out there. Yeah, we're trying to help you.
Right.
Through Window Nation, who we love.
Yes.
It's a beautiful thing. All right. I'm going to put you in Howie Roseman's shoes. We were just talking about it. And he's talked about making mistakes before, back in 2018, coming off the Super Bowl win and, trying to all that stuff. When you're going into this draft as Howie Roseman, knowing the situation the roster's in where you have a real chance to win the Super Bowl right now, you have a conference that is, let's be honest, pretty trashy. You are clearly the best team in the conference, you're clearly the best quarterback in the conference, but you also lived through that experience before. You had the year of 2020, you had to rebuild. And there are a lot of holes on this team still, especially from a
depth perspective,
and also a future perspective, right? Like, when these guys, who's stepping in for Brandon Graham, who's stepping, all this type of stuff. How much do you weigh that going into this draft? Like, how much do you look at this draft and say, all right, I'm literally taking the best players on the board no matter what? Or are you saying, like, listen, I want to help my team set up the future, but like, I also have to think about what you were just talking about. Like, I need this guy to contribute. Like, how much of a conflict is that there? Or did they just go with the same philosophy and say, no matter what, we're going to go and we're going to take the best players, the players we believe in, the positions we believe in, and that's it?
So I think there are a few players that check both of those boxes. Jalen Carter checks that box. I think Jackson Smith also checks that box, because the thing Jackson Smith, and I cannot pronounce the second half of his hyphenated name, which is why I've not been saying it.
I didn't. Yeah, let me.
Well, it's Jackson Smith, and it's a hyphen, and I don't know how to pronounce it. And as a hyphenated,
I was about to say for a hyphen.
As a hyphenated man, I'm not trying to disrespect him. I just don't know how to pronounce it, and I don't want to rudely mispronounce it.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
Yeah, so Jackson Smith would give you, like, he could play for you this year while also potentially moving to the outside when you move on from AJ, or I think they will pay Devontae, but let's say you don't pay Devontae, he wants a ton of money, then like he could slide outside for you. So some players check both those boxes. But to your point, there are other players that would be strictly a move of, this is going to help depth.
One or the other, either the future or
like an offensive lineman at 10.
Exactly. Like the Scolari dude. This is a guy who's been mocked to the Eagles in a few mocks. He's looks like the number one tackle in the draft. Like, that is a guy who people have put to the Eagles, even though they don't need a tackle in the next couple years.
Ideally.
But ideally, right? But it's also the Philadelphia Eagles, and they care about the offensive line, and they're not shy about drafting future.
And here's something to consider too. Like, the years the Eagles have really suffered, where there have been painful years, it has mostly not been because of poor receiver play or poor safety play. It's mostly been because the lines fall apart, right? So I think that, to your point, if you draft an offensive lineman at 10, it can be viewed as, this is a future pick. Lane's older. Jordan Mailata's, dealing with health stuff. Maybe took a slight step back last year. Like, those are those arguments. But the other argument is, you feel like if one of them misses 4 games this year, you have someone that you think can go in and play at a high level. And what really makes this team special, the core of what makes them special, is their line play. Jalen's awesome. The court, he checks all the, you have to have a quarterback boxes. But the reason the Eagles are dominant is because they have outstanding line play all the time. So to your question about balancing both, I think you ultimately, you have to prioritize what you value, is the best way I can put it. And so I think if you take a lineman at 10, you're checking a couple boxes. You're checking this is a position we believe in and our seasons always rely on. You're checking the depth box. And then look, Lane is older. Yeah. And as much as it would suck to draft someone at 10 that is going to be a backup for maybe 2 years, and Lane's also a physical freak, so who knows? I don't know. I think there's a logical argument for an offensive lineman over Bijan. I don't think I wouldn't have the backbone to do it. I'd be too excited about Bijan and what he could do right away, and I would trust Stoutland to develop guys. So, but yeah, I think that if I'm Howie and I'm sitting there, I'm realizing this has to be a foundational piece for me that is going to be an impact guy for me. And whether that's this year or next year, as much as that pains to say, yeah, it's a tough line.
Well, to that point too, I mean, we know how long years can feel and be in the NFL. I mean, literally, we're what, like 3 years removed from having Carson Wentz here.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 years ago.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's my point. I'm saying you can't, like, nothing is planned for too long in the NFL.
Yeah, but then and honestly, I think that's an argument for Bijan, where it's like,
but
this
guy
also
also could be an argument for Scolari, is the point. You can make it multiple ways.
Right.
You know?
Now, but the other flip side of that, of Scolari, would be, you could draft a tackle now you're not getting
Jeff Stoutland, and look, he turned.
But I just mean even in the first round next year.
Sure.
Right. So now, presumably, you don't think you're going to be as high, and that's part of it. But yeah, I mean, I guess the heart of your question is, how much are you factoring in that they could win a Super Bowl next year?
It's exactly the heart of my question.
And I don't think you can factor it in.
I agree with you, but again, it's human nature. It's really hard not to.
But I think there's other ways you can do it. There's other ways you can do it.
Well, that's why. If you have a chance to get Jalen Carter, get Jalen Carter.
Right.
He solves all these things.
But and now, like, so Bijan would be viewed as a win now move, but I don't think Bijan is like a one and done. Like, you have Bijan ideally
for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. And look, in theory, you could have him for longer. Like, just putting that out there. I think you go into him a little differently than you, like Jalen Carter, you're hoping, 8 years from now is still that guy. But yeah, I think that when you're sitting at 10, you have to say to yourself, like, really, you just have to say to yourself, who is the best player here? Mm-hmm. And I don't think I can factor in the fact that they're the best team in the NFC when I'm taking a pick there, because you have to get an impact guy. Yeah. And you have to get a guy that you believe in outside of, like, the record of your current team.
Totally. Well, and especially after this offseason, we just saw, like, Howie's great at supplementing and adding players and all that, but you're going to lose guys. Cap issues are going to happen, stuff like that. Like, these dudes who, again, to your point, are a important player for your team, no matter what the position is, who is on a rookie contract, are incredibly valuable. And you can't win in the NFL.
Well, and the other thing about the offensive line is, and this is playing a little devil's advocate, but on one hand, you go, yeah, they're stacked. On the other hand, you go, Lane's old, Kelsey's gone in a year, Landon's hurt all the time. You have no idea about Jurgens, and Mailata took a step back.
Yeah, and Mailata is, like, somewhat unproven still. I mean, it's not like
he's I agree
had
with that.
A ton of years.
Right, he's had one awesome year.
Yeah.
And I think he's someone you believe in. He has the it factor.
They paid him the whole thing, but still, it's not like it's like, oh, Jordan Mailata is a lock to be the left tackle for the next decade.
Correct, I agree with that.
I think he can be, and I'm confident. But it's a good look. And again, and I think philosophically, like, if there will not be one, no matter the situation of the team and what we just talked about, the whole thing, like, and the fact they already have 2 tackles left, they take Scolari at 10. There will not be a single Eagles fan who's surprised. There might be someone upset. There might be someone disagree with it, but not one. Right. Not one will be like, I'm shocked.
Well, it wouldn't
be shocking.
You can already hear Howie at the podium being like,
we had a chance to get the best offensive lineman in this draft. This guy's the best lineman in the draft, guys.
And even just, what we value.
You know what we do.
This
is what we
value
do.
The lines. We say it all the time.
Had a lot of success over the years doing this.
You can't just say it and then not do it.
Yeah.
I just would.
I don't think that it's going to happen. I don't, but I'm just saying, like, it wouldn't be a surprise.
Who do you think they would take, Bijan or the lineman?
I think they take the lineman. I mean, I'm not saying I would, but if I had to bet, if you say, all right, how you could take one of these 2 players for your franchise the next 5 years, I think you take the lineman.
I agree.
Yeah.
But man, I wouldn't do it.
So you know where I'm at. Like, I'm torn.
Look, I'll say this: whoever you take, if you're going to take one, it can't be a guard.
Oh yeah, no.
It's
a tackle.
It has to be a tackle.
I agree, 100%. Even though like they will need a guard next year,
Yeah, but like,
no, trust me. I think that's when you're talking about guards and stuff, you're like, oh, okay, the Jeff Stoutland, whatever 3rd rounder, he'll turn him into a player. Like, we're all good. Yeah, and that's where you lean on your coaching and your development and all that type of stuff. But,
or sign a veteran, like,
whatever.
Figure it out.
It is a fascinating spot, though. The way this draft is.
It's not a great spot.
No, I said fascinating.
Yeah,
it's a fascinating spot because it isn't like a clear thing. Normally it'd be like, all right, the Eagles are going to take one of these 3 defensive linemen. That's what's going to happen.
Right.
It'll be one of those guys.
It's one of these 4 players.
Yeah. Like now it's like, if they don't trade up for Carter, I mean, like, we're talking about Bijan.
Right.
Like, the number 1 guy that has been talked about in Philadelphia as a yes.
Yeah.
Like, that's,
well, I think
that's crazy.
The last draft point I have is another part of the Bijan conversation is you have to ask yourself, like, Bijan at 10 or Jamari Gibbs at 30?
Yeah,
because he's pretty awesome
that's
too.
That's what Richie keeps saying. Richie keeps saying that, like, because he's all in on Bijan at 10, but he's like, to be honest, I might like Gibbs more. He's like, I don't like him more, but like he's close enough where at 30, I might do that.
Like, I think Bijan is like a bigger guy. Gibbs he's not Kamara because Kamara's bigger and Gibbs is undersized, But Gibbs is like
shifty.
And like get him in
take off.
space,
Yeah.
and he's like an elite receiver type of guy. So, yeah, I mean,
SEC, it's all we do.
like you could definitely talk me into like Nolan Smith at 10 and Gibbs at 30.
Yeah, and again, the Smith thing, he's super undersized, but man,
I'd be fine with him. At 10.
I would too.
I would take my chance on him.
I would too.
You know, like
too.
Now he's had injury issues, but he can get to the quarterback.
Yeah,
and I'll take that, especially after drafting a run-stopping nose tackle.
Who's going to be great.
He's going to be great.
All right. Him and Kobe, the future. All right. All right. Coming up, it'll probably be up tomorrow, I guess. But Parks Pick Spot. If you're watching, bet Parks Pick Spot. If you're watching, hang out. You got anything else on the Eagles?
I do. Oh, no, not on the Eagles.
Okay,
no.
final thought.
Yeah.
Yes. What do you got?
All right. So I was watching a documentary. I don't know how closely you followed this, but remember last year where they were going to create a super league in soccer?
Yes, I remember that it was like a disaster, right?
Yeah,
they
like didn't end up doing it.
Yeah.
So basically, for those that have no idea, the entire premise was like the best teams from each league, like the like the Patriots would be an example in this instance.
Bayern Munich and
yes,
Chelsea
right.
and
They were going to
FC
create their
Barcelona
own league
and Madrid and like the best team. Got it.
So here is my question for you: if they created an NFL Super League where like 5 teams are going to leave the NFL because they're just more valuable, like all those things, what team are the Eagles in it?
Great question. So are we talking just value of the team?
Yeah, we're taking everything into consideration, like history, value. Like I think you have to take somewhat how good they are, but it can't be a short sample size.
Right.
Like, so I think the Cowboys are, hate it all you want.
Yeah,
the Cowboys are one of them.
Yeah, I hate it.
The Patriots, I think are
probably
in it.
I think the Steelers are probably
the Steelers for sure. Yeah. Definitely.
I think those 3 off the top. I mean, the Giants have to be considered.
The Bears?
The Bears would be considered. I mean, the Eagles would be considered.
I think the Eagles are in it.
Historically, I don't know. If we're talking the last 20 years, I would say so.
I mean, 20 years is a long time.
I agree with you.
You know, I mean, there's only been, 55, 50.
What a fascinating question. It's really hard to judge the legacy of the franchise.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Who do you trust to be good year after year? Because I definitely put the Eagles in that group. But then you're talking about the Chiefs. And you're talking about, like...
The Chiefs, I think, would be in there.
But again, I think in terms of, if you're just picking the 5, biggest franchises, I don't know.
I think what made me think about it is I think the Eagles, are not in there, but I think they belong in there.
I like this take.
I mean, they have history. They have a great owner. They make a ton of money. They're good consistently. They're not devoid of history.
No,
sure. They're
yeah, exactly. They're not
the Houston Texans or whatever.
Sure.
The Carolina Panthers. They are a somewhat legacy franchise.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
1933. It's a long time.
Right.
They've been around the whole time. I think it's a great question. I think they're on the back end of the 5 if they're in there, or they're like 7 or 8.
So we agree. I think Cowboys, Steelers for sure. I think Chiefs.
I mean, Patriots probably because of the recent history.
Yeah,
they were a joke prior.
Right.
It's a fascinating
we might be forgetting some.
I mean, the Raiders have had a lot of good history, but they suck now.
Right. I mean, you're right with the Giants.
I mean, the Giants, it is what it is.
Yeah.
They won 4 Super Bowls. They've been around for a long time. They're also the media market. That's the other thing.
That's the other part.
Into account? So if we are, then the Giants are definitely in.
I should probably stop moving away from the mic.
That's all right.
I just realized.
It looks good here. So.
It does, yeah.
All right. My final thought. I need to start using the word scratch more in the terms of money. Let me get a little scratch. It is so great. And I don't ever use it. Oh, can I borrow a little scratch?
So
you got any scratch on you? Want to get something in the vending machine?
I guess I would say I love that for you.
How long have you been waiting for the right opportunity to buy?
Well, I've missed the good one on Go Bears. But the second you said something I need to start saying more, I literally stopped listening and I was like, this is it. This is the moment. I love that for you more than scratch.
Yeah, well, that was I
don't think enough people would know what scratch means.
People know it's for money. Let me get some scratch. You don't think so?
I think people might think you mean drugs.
No.
If someone on the street or a friend were
I think you're wrong about this.
If they were
people know that scratch.
Let me get some scratch. My initial reaction would be is this a drug? I'm not cool enough to know. I wouldn't be like, what, you want $4?
It's a great. I think people know what scratch is.
I don't know.
I'm intrigued.
I haven't heard that word. And it's not used commonly enough that I think.
Well, that's why I said I need to use it more. I saw the movie, I was like, oh, great.
But I'd be careful where you use it. Is the point.
I think you're wrong.
Certainly wouldn't go a cop and be like,
get some scratch.
Yeah, exactly. Or
like
someone on the corner.
You got some scratch?
Yeah.
Go buy
well, especially the way I feel. Yeah, I would stay away from that. I would stick with I love that for you
It's the
better.
best.
Although that is rude, but it's funny.
But people don't always get it.
But now it's
good.
funny. Like in the Go Birds world.
Oh, it's so
funny.
good. Any opportunity.
You know, it'd be a great burn, like in the Go Birds Twitter chat thing, if someone posted a take you don't agree with and you responded, I love that for you.
It is so good.
Or like to another team or something.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. Again, shout out to Emily Seltzer, who says it's my daughter.
Yeah.
Very cool.
There you go.
All right. We will be back. Bet Parks Picks Pod in the feed tomorrow.
Yes.
This is why you watch the YouTubes. Okay.
Sure,
if you're not tuning in for these, we retweet it. Check it out. You get the bonus. All right. So until then, he's on James. Boom.
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 Got some good chat going on in there.
Love it. Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Do you guys know what scratch means?
Someone said I'm with ESP here, so I think they agree on the scratch.
So you guys don't know what scratch means?
Dude,
Justin, really?
Scratch, like I think it sounds like drugs.
It does not sound like drugs.
It definitely sounds like drugs. Like it's like, yo, you got some scratch. That sounds way more like drugs than money.
Yo, man, you got some scratch?
I mean, but I would never.
Yo, man, let me get some of that scratch, man. You got some scratch?
I don't. Well, whatever. We shouldn't talk about this on the pod, I guess.
What?
I would say, like, I don't do drugs, but I'll tell you this, like, it always shocks me when people buy drugs off of, like, random people.
Mhm.
I'd be so worried to do that.
Yeah,
and again, I don't do it, but, like,
let me be clear.
To be clear, but I'm just saying, that would especially worry me.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's where the final thoughts bring you.
Good talk.
Yeah, this will only live on YouTube.
Yes, only
in
for you
between
guys.
both pods.
Yes, you have to really dig deep.
Yeah, you
Yes.
really got the
right.
real me that doesn't do drugs.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
No problem.
I'll no comment on this one.
All right, so we're bringing out the app here.
Bet Parks Picks Pod. You ready, Ro?
Yes.
Hey, hello. It is the Go Birds podcast presented by the Bet Parks Sportsbook and Casino app, the Bet Parks Picks Pod.
Yes.
There it is.
We're back.
We're back.
Well, we never left. I guess.
We never left. Now, if you're listening on the podcast feed, we left for you.
Yes.
For us, we're right next to each other, same as we were. For the people watching on the YouTube, shout out to everybody.
Yeah, we got some good chat going on there as always.
They had a little interesting conversation in between the recording of the pods.
I do like, so when I see people in the chat, or I see like how people consume different forms of media, I think about like what brings them to that. Like how, like where in their life are they doing this? And I think if you have a job where you're at work, like it would be awesome to watch a pod on YouTube and chat in it. Yeah, I've never like thought about that, but I think that's the path for it.
I love that you think about like, where are these people watching?
That's what I mean. Like I see people sometimes put pods up on their TV at home, and it doesn't make sense to me. But I guess if you watch talk shows, it's not that different.
If this were on the, what's the difference? If you're
True.
listening
It's
to
a good
it
point.
anyway, why not have it on the big screen instead of on your phone?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know?
Yeah. Well, as long as you're watching and listening to Go Birds,
yeah,
it's always a good
video, audio. It don't matter. It's all good. How you been, buddy? Long time no speak.
I know it's been a while. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. So me and Kristen have been waking up at 5:30 every morning to work out.
Wow. Yeah. To work out?
Yeah. We've been going to a workout class. Yeah. So
that is early, buddy.
I know. Well, look, you wake up at 3, so it's like I might as well at this point.
You're right.
But here's what I'll say about waking up.
I love it.
Once you get used to it,
it's fine.
The worst part is I think like when you hear the alarm and you're like, oh my God, I actually do have to get up.
Yeah.
But then once you're out of bed,
it's fine.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Yeah, you feel it later in the day. I'm a lot more tired later in the day.
Well, we went to bed at, this is late for you, but I don't know, 10 o'clock last night. Yeah. I mean, you already sound asleep.
Well, no, the stupid Phillies games now.
Oh, true. That's a good point.
Yes, I've been sleeping less. So my big thing is that I have not figured out how to nap yet. Like every time I lay down,
it's tough to nap. Like,
every time I lay down for a nap, I'm always like, all right, I got like an hour. Up. Now it's half an hour.
And also,
yes, I'm getting up. Like
you play on your phone.
Oh,
so
don't do that.
I have another Phillies take for you.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah,
the lucky listeners get all your Phillies takes.
I love the pitch clock. I'm so in on it. I especially think, and unfortunately for the Phillies, you've seen it really speeds up blowouts, which is really nice.
You're right, though. It does.
But here's the thing. It does feel like a different game. Like it is fast. Like there are times where, last night they were in the fourth after like 40 minutes or something. And I like it and I'm down with it. But it is wild. Like I think before you were able, there was actually an older guy that called in WIP. And generally I don't agree with guys that sound like they're like over 60. But
good,
yeah.
General
but he was making a point like there is a part of baseball where you just kind of relax.
Mhm.
And it's not a relaxing game anymore, which I'm fine with, but it is very much a game where if you just look down or like, you get like you text people for a while or you like get in a conversation, like you could miss a whole inning pretty quick or a whole half of an inning. No, I love it for sure, but it does feel way faster than I thought.
This is what baseball was.
I'm fine
with
it.
In the 1980s, baseball games looked like this.
Yes, I'm fine with it again.
And it's like literally, like we talked about, I think we talked about this before, but I mean, same amount of innings, same amount of outs. Like they're literally only getting rid of non-baseball. They're getting rid of wasted time.
Again, that's why I'm in on it. But
it is definitely different. I know what you mean.
It just
feel
it looks.
Pace
I thought that
slower. It's not a different game as aggressive, but I get what you're saying. It definitely is. It's noticeably faster.
I thought that it would be one of those things where at the end of the game we'd look and go, "Oh, wow, that was like 20 minutes quicker." Mm-hmm. I think you actively feel the difference.
Yeah.
Of the pitch.
Oh, no doubt. I would 100% agree with that. I love it. I'm all in on it.
I do too.
I think the playoffs I might feel differently because in the playoffs you kind of want the drama and the build.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think I might have a different.
But it's tough to do it different.
Well, but I mean, like football uses different overtime rules and
stuff. But that's
like
not like the
I know
whole
it's
game.
not the game. I know. So I don't think they will split it up. But I feel like when the playoffs come, maybe more of an issue.
There'll be a lot of
more
people will have the takes on.
But right now, as a morning show host, let me tell you, buddy,
you're in on it.
Pitch clock is the best thing ever. It's serendipitous.
Yeah,
it is quite unbelievable. All right, speaking of perfect timing, thank you, Bet Parks, for putting out the football futures, buddy. The Bet Parks Picks Pod is going to be full of futures talk for a while. We're going to do the NFC East today, but I just wanted to throw the Super Bowl odds at you real quick because
I'll pull it up. So I guess I won't.
No. Look, I'll throw them at you.
Okay, so I saw the top three.
Okay, so you saw the top three. So you know that it's KC, the Bills, and the Bengals.
All tied at plus 800, I think.
No, so the KC is plus 600, then the Bills and the Bengals are plus 800.
Okay.
Would you like to guess who's next?
Well, I'm going to guess not the Eagles based off this question. Is it the Niners?
The Niners are also plus 800. The Eagles are plus 900. So obviously there's a very small difference between odds. It's basically the same
that's
thing.
About as close as you normally see at the top.
But Bet Parks, the odds makers, whatever you want to say, are telling you that they believe the Philadelphia, or bettors, or whatever you want to say, that the Philadelphia Eagles are not the favorite in the NFC. Your response?
So I think that because it's so hard to get back, that could be part of it. Sure. I think there's a perception that the Eagles lost a lot of talent, which I don't agree with.
I agree with you, yeah.
And whereas I think with the Niners, the perception is like they added Hargrave, right? But I mean, just think about this. Like, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, maybe Trey Lance, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
think of the difference there.
Exactly I read it.
So I do think it's fair to an extent to have the AFC teams ahead of the Eagles, but the issue with that too is the NFC is so much
right. None of these
they're gonna have to beat each other to get there. The Eagles,
look, the Chiefs should be the favorite. I get it. That makes total sense. They won the Super Bowl. They're the Chiefs. They've been there 3 times in the last 5 years. Whatever. Right. Eagles should be the second favorite.
Yeah, I mean,
they should be number 2.
Look, the downside with futures is it sits in your account.
It's 800 to 900. So it's a very small difference.
There is in my opinion, a very, very small chance you'll ever get the Eagles at better than plus 900.
I agree with you. This season, I agree with you.
Like, look, if they start 0-3, but then that's a different discussion,
right?
So, like, if you believe in the Eagles moving forward, and I think you should, like, plus 900, if you have the money to have that sit for a year, I think that's an awesome bet.
I do too.
I think there's a chance by week 4 or 5 of next year, they're like plus 3.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Like, so, I agree with you. Especially come playoff time.
We don't even know who the Niners quarterback is.
Yeah. Or the downside is we do know. It's
Brock Purdy or Trey Lance.
Or Sam Darnold.
Darnold.
And none of those guys
is Jalen Hurts, I'll tell you that much.
Brock Purdy, like, his arm might not work.
He got Tommy John surgery. Like,
who would you start of those 3?
I have no idea.
It almost would have to be Darnold.
Look, you spent the 3rd pick in the draft on Trey Lance. You got to figure out what that is.
I agree with
that. I would probably just go with Lance and figure it out, or hope it works.
Or just sign Lamar Jackson.
Sure, I would, but they signed Javon Hargrave instead.
I'll bet you
they can't do that anymore because they signed Javon Hargrave.
I'll bet you if they signed Lamar Jackson, they would be the favorite.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And you could.
And I don't think they should be, but
you can make an argument at least they should be. Like, at least all of a sudden, like, Lamar has won an MVP, and I know he hasn't won the playoffs, but he also has never had weapons around him like he would in San Francisco.
So we don't have to get into a long Lamar discussion, but it is interesting when you look at Lamar's name versus his actual production the last 2 years. his production
the last 2 years has been bad. Yeah.
And he's only played for 4 years.
Now, again, name one receiver who's played with him.
Dude,
Name one. Rashad Bateman. I named one.
If I was Washington, I would sign
So
Lamar
that's
Jackson.
my point. And again, I am not.
But I also understand the hesitation a little bit.
I do too. Look, I don't think he's Jalen Hurts. Like I would bet on Jalen, like, because I don't think he's ever going to be the thrower that Hurts is. All that stuff, and the Hurts is can become, and all that stuff. But I mean, Lamar is definitely a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, right? I mean, he's definitely in that range.
Yeah,
the guy won an MVP and has played with literally nothing, like the worst set of weapons in the league by far the last few years. So, like, I don't know. Like, if I'm a team, I would take a shot on Lamar over some of the direct that you have out there.
There's also a ton of value of just having Lamar.
Absolutely.
Like, just getting Lamar Jackson on your roster financially from like a franchise perspective. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but anyway, if I were the Niners, I would do it. You got to figure out a way. And if you're Lamar, it makes a ton of sense. You have a chance to go there and immediately prove everybody wrong hey, actually the Niners would probably be a super team from the last pod.
Oh, yeah.
They definitely will.
Oh, they absolutely. Yeah. They're one of the 5. I can't believe we didn't think of that.
So anyway, if you haven't listened to the last pod,
I like how it's all our rivals now are like, those are the super team pods. Yeah.
I think it's probably like Cowboys, Steelers, Niners.
Yeah, Niners would be in that
Giants.
first group. Yeah, let's stop talking about it.
Agreed.
I really hate this topic all of a sudden.
No problem.
I wonder why. Dallas sucks. Niners suck.
Where are the Cowboys?
Giants suck. We're gonna get to that. Oh, where are the Cowboys on the
I have not looked at the
Cowboys are right after, so they are plus 1,500.
Wow, the Jets plus 1,400. I don't like that.
That's
I know why that is, but I don't like that.
I'm with you. So it's the Cowboys at plus 1,500.
I like the Lions at plus 2,200 better than the Niners.
I like the Lions a ton at that because, like we just talked about, the NFC is wide open. Like, it is pretty crazy. The Lions might be the 3rd best team in the NFC going into the season.
Dude, what's crazy to me about the Lions, and I've said this on the pod before, but I'll repeat it. Jared Goff's numbers last year.
He was great.
Were unbelievable.
Yeah,
he was like
great.
7th in pass rating, and he had like 33 touchdowns. Not like,
plus, Dan Campbell. So,
dude, I saw Dan Campbell at the owners' meetings, and a split second almost was going to go up to him and be like, just want to let you know, I apologize. I didn't do it, but I thought about it.
He probably would have loved it.
I think he would have.
Yeah.
But you know what else? He is like surprisingly smaller in person.
Really? I would have thought he's a big
I
guy.
look at him and thing, and I'm thinking he's like you
6'5".
would notice him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's like lost weight, but he looks, from when I saw him, way smaller than I expected. Yeah, I was very surprised.
What observation of me?
He's the one I think I'd be okay with Sirianni being friends with.
Yeah.
Like when we talk about like NFL friends groups.
Oh my God, can you imagine
I'd rather hanging out with him than like Mike Shanahan.
Can you imagine the two of them together? Oh my God.
Just the yelling and it'd be like the Gronk brothers.
It would be like the Gronk. It's a great comp.
I might come up with how I would groups of friends for NFL head coaches.
This is the best.
Who I would want to have hang out with each other.
I love this idea. This is a great idea. And then you can name the little clique.
Yeah, exactly.
The nerds, the this, that. It's a great idea.
Wannabes.
This is a great bit. You should do
I might do this.
I think you should.
Unfortunately, I'm not that busy. So
I got all the time in the world.
Well, today's a busy day, but in general, my Wednesday through next Tuesday are pretty free.
I can probably handle this. All right. All right. Coming up in a minute, we're going to actually go through the NFC East odds, over-unders for each team. I'm going to let Elliot guess. You get a feel for where the teams are at, how they stack up. But, you're listening to this. Just download Bet Park Sportsbook. I mean,
so
seriously.
Me and Kristen used to watch a show on TV where they would sing a song and you could like vote on your phone, like, and try to guess the right answer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the experience you're missing if you don't have the Parks app.
I love it.
Like, imagine listening to the pod, you're sitting there. I mean, you could also obviously download the app, but you could be on your desktop doing it too. But like, and not having the odds there. It's like you're missing half the show. It's like playing a video game without a controller.
Yeah.
Like you're not getting the full experience. So if you're listening to the pod,
it's like watching a movie but not seeing the visuals, just listening.
Yes, or not having the interactive piece. Like you could guess along with us if you had the app.
It's a great point. And then,
but if you don't, like I don't know what to say.
Then it's your loss.
Yes,
that's the takeaway. And again, so much about them right now. We got baseball back. You bet on individual player performances, home runs, strikeouts, all the good stuff. Bet on who's going to win it all. Future bets, big deal. As we're just talking about right here.
Plus 900.
Plus 900. Bet on Philly to win it all because I think they got a really good chance.
Well, they certainly have a plus 900
chance. They're the best in the freaking conference, no matter what the odds say. and so much more.
They got
It's
no one
so
to go
much
to.
fun. Exactly. It's so much fun. The app is easy to use. It's intuitive. And here's the deal. All new users bet $10, get $125 in sportsbook bonus if your first bet is a winner. New users and winner bets only. Sports bonus must be wagered once. See a website for details. Must be 21 in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right.
All right.
Back to the odds.
Yeah. Back to the odds. Okay. Back to the odds we go.
Yeah.
All right.
He's Elliot. I'm James.
And we're out of here.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get
That'd be a good shirt.
That would
Like
be
we
a
ever did
good
go
shirt.
bird shirt.
Yeah,
He's
it'd be
Elliot.
nice
I'm
to get
James.
some shirts, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
All right, let's start with the worst team in the division, or at least what we expect to be the worst team in the division.
Washington.
Yes.
Okay.
What is your guess for their over/under on the Bet Parks Picks app
Okay.
right now?
So I have to remind myself, they didn't increase another game this year, right?
No,
Same amount of
just
games.
17.
Okay, 17.
I
All
think you would have heard
right. Just
about
making sure.
it. Yeah, covering the NFL.
All right. Tough division, which
Mhm.
is surprising to say. Easy conference, but tough division.
Mhm.
7.5.
Very close.
Mm.
6.5.
God, I almost went lower.
6.5. So early, you're gonna guess, and then we're gonna give our early picks on whether we go.
So I'm gonna
over
guess
on-
now, or we're gonna
No,
wait.
we're gonna say whether we'll go through each one and then
Yeah.
decide. You're gonna go again. We have a lot of time to change this. It's not locked.
Yeah,
in
obviously
stone.
this is not locked, but I'm saying,
But-
am I making my prediction now or at the end of the pod?
No,
That's
we're doing
what
it right
I'm
now.
at.
We're gonna
Okay.
go through each one and go through. So your thoughts on Washington 6.5?
So here's why I would bet the over.
Oh, the over.
Because they're about to have a new ownership group. And it would not shock me if
maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I would think definitely. It would not shock me if this new ownership group comes in and pays a ton for a quarterback. I don't know who it is. Like,
You don't
there's,
think that happened right now before this
it
season?
could. Lamar's still there. Let's say Magic
Oh,
Johnson's
you think it
group
gets- you think
wins the bid.
And then they just go get.
They
Lamar.
just go get
Oh,
Lamar.
that's an interesting thought.
And I
That's
also,
really interesting. I didn't think about
right?
that.
And 6.5 is pretty low.
Pretty low. I mean, they won 8 last year.
Yeah.
right?
And they have talent on the roster. Their quarterback's
yeah.
the main issue. But if they
I
can,
mean, Sam Howell.
no, I agree.
Because my gut was under because of Sam Howell. But you're making a compelling
You
argument.
also just wonder if getting the stink of Daniel Snyder out the building.
But again,
the whole
if
thing
you are
just-
assuming that Daniel Snyder will sell,
dude, I'm telling you, I think he is going to sell.
what makes you say that?
He has 2 bids for $6 billion.
I
The
know, but it
owners
seems
want
like
him
he
to
does-
sell.
I know they do, but it seems like he's doing everything he can to not sell.
Not to get too much of a tangent.
Yeah.
Like, look, I'll
We love
never
a
have
good-
6
We
billion.
love a good tangent here.
Dude, like Daniel Snyder, why? Like, just sell, man. Like,
I know.
everyone just rips you. No
Everyone
one wants you
hates you,
there.
dude.
You can't even go to league events. You're such an embarrassment. So you could keep doing that out of pride. Again, death before dishonor. Or just
yes,
or
you
just
did it.
sell for
Nice.
$6 billion. Like, dude, it's not even a question. for me.
Yeah. Well, we've said this.
So I kind of like the over for that reason.
again, you and I have said this many times, but 6 billion. I mean, geez,
Yeah.
Like, give me 6 million. I'm never working again. Like, I'm out.
The,
Out. I'm so gone.
the disgusting things I would do for $6 million.
Oh my God.
Let alone $6 billion.
I know we've talked about this before, but there is nothing worse or no bigger lie than if I won the lottery, I'd go to work tomorrow. Like,
Right.
get your mouse 1, 2, 3. Get the fuck out of here.
So
Like, you're not going to work the next day. If you maybe given your 2 weeks or whatever, but like, let's be honest here. You win a $500 million or $100 million. You ain't going to work the next day. Like, I'm sorry.
my only counter is, and I'm just being honest, like, I think if me and Kristen won $6 billion, we'd travel the world and
yes.
like, right? But I would miss doing my
pod,
job. Like,
yes.
I would miss the pod, and we can do the pod from anywhere.
From anywhere.
So that would be, but I wouldn't be
Like,
paying
I
as
love
close
my job, but
attention.
I would
wouldn't
much rather
well, you
travel
wouldn't
the
get up at
world.
3 o'clock.
Yeah, I would much rather travel the world. And
I
hang
agree.
out with my wife every
I
day,
agree with that,
you know,
for sure.
Yeah.
But I'd be tweeting, I'll tell you that.
You'd be tweeting.
And I could tweet whatever at that
And then
point.
you could. Oh my
That'd be-
goodness! You could pay for extra followers.
I mean, I can tweet
and all
whatever I
that.
want now, but
Yeah.
I'd be extra.
You'd be hanging out with Elon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hey, here's
I
what
would
I think you
buy
should do on Twitter,
scoops.
buddy. Yeah.
Yeah. Just be like, Howie, here's like $100,000. Tell me who you signed.
Yeah.
It's probably unethical, but again,
It's
I
fine.
wouldn't need ethics. So
It's
it's like, you
I'm
know,
rich, bitch. It's all good. All right. So you're going over. I'll go under, but I'm open to changing it, and I like why you went over. I think it's interesting. All right, the Giants.
I'm guessing. I'm gonna guess this is too high. Although, is it 8.5?
Look at you. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done, buddy. Proud of you.
I'm gonna bet the under.
Oh, he's back.
They
Giants
just-
haters back.
They just feel all right. First of all, I
Yes!
think Dable's feeling himself a little too much.
You think?
Yeah.
Coach of the year.
Dude, not speaking at the combine.
Hey,
Like, come
this
on,
guy.
man.
I know, dude.
They weren't that good last year. They weren't. Like they
were
won
lucky
a
where they
lot
did.
of one-score games early on, which props to them. They started 6-1 or whatever they were. Then they were bad the rest of the year. I don't think they've like off the top of my head, have they added anybody of significance?
No, I mean Daniel Jones. They brought back guys,
and they brought back Saquon, but I don't think
so.
Did they add any receivers? I don't think so.
I can't think of anybody. I mean, I'm sure
they don't have a great draft pick.
I'm sure we're missing someone, but yeah.
Yeah, but the point is, if we can't think of it, how big is it?
So,
yeah, I think the Eagles and Cowboys are better than them. Their schedule will be tougher, the Giants. So yeah, I'm betting I would pick the under.
I'm gonna go under too.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think last year was.
Well, they only won 9 last year.
I
think they only ended up at 9.
You're right. Yeah, and now they didn't play the last game and all that stuff, as we know all too well.
Yes.
But
they would.
I think I'm going to go under too.
They would have lost.
It's more likely than not that they take a step back. Especially, I don't believe in Daniel Jones. You believe in him more than I do. And you're picking the under. I like this call.
I think under.
I like this call. All right, 8.5. We're going under on that one. The Dallas Cowboys.
So I'm going to guess theirs is higher. For full transparency, I believe I saw the Eagles was 10.5.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Never mind.
I haven't gotten there yet.
So I don't think the Cowboys have a higher one than the Eagles, obviously, just even based off the future odds alone. I can't decide how often they like to do whole numbers because I feel like it would be 9, but I'll go 9.5.
2 for 2 or 2 in a row. But
Boom.
That was deductive reasoning.
Thank you.
At its hot.
So it'll go 8.5, 9.5, 10.5.
So let me double check. I can confirm that the 10.5. It is for the Eagles on the BetParks app. 10.5.
So there you go.
Okay, so so it goes 6.5, then jumps 8.5, 9.5, 10.
For the Cowboys, I think I would go the over on this.
I mean, they won 13 last year, right? Yeah.
I don't get why it's so low.
I look, the Eagles are only 10.5, and we would think that they would have been higher.
I guess you really
last year too.
The 10.5 is probably the highest in the NFL.
That's what it's. I think the Chiefs might be higher, but the point is they build in injuries and concerns and stuff like that. Because that happens all the time. And year to year, there can be so much parity and so much changeover that a team loses a guy and then they're horrible.
Right.
So I think they build all that in. But I agree with you. I think the Cowboys at 9.5. I mean, that seems like a no doubt over. I think they're the second best team in the conference. Or the third best team in the conference. I think it goes Eagles, Niners, Cowboys.
So I think the Cowboys are better.
You can argue it. They got a better quarterback.
Yeah, and they have
the
defense is right there. And they added Stephon Gilmore. They added Brandon Cooks.
Stephon Gilmore's on the back end.
But let me tell you, and
great.
No. What I'm saying is, if you look at last year, he was top 5 in the league in coverage.
Really?
Which stunned me when I looked. Yeah. So again, I agree with you.
Yeah,
but I was stunned when
letting him go. Nobody seems to want him.
And I think he fits great there because Diggs is not a number 1 corner, and has him as the 2. I think is better. But I think there's an argument. We looked at the Cowboys that a lot of things went wrong for them last year, and they still won 13 games.
What went wrong for them last year?
Well, Dak missed 5 games, and he also threw a ton of interceptions.
Forgot about the Dak missing 5, but he did come back.
Yeah, but he played terrible.
Well, he's not that good.
But he's better than what he played last year. Is the point I'm making. We agree. We agree he's the second best quarterback in the conference.
I know. How crazy is that?
So
crazy.
I would kind of bet the over on this, and if I'm being completely honest, on the Eagles, 10.5 is a big number this early on. Guys can get hurt. There's the Super Bowl hangover. I'd be a little worried about the 10.5.
Yeah, I'll take the over.
I'd probably bet if I had to, but I would be a little worried about it, which is probably on par for
it feels right.
My general stance on bets in life. But I don't know, man. 10.5 is a lot.
So do you think Dallas
Mariota does not win? If Hurts goes down, Mariota's not winning them. Yeah. Whereas I think Minshew might have.
I don't know. I think Mariota and Minshew are basically the same.
I think Mariota blows.
He might, but at least he plays like Hurts. At least he can run around a bit.
I guess, but you have to throw the ball too.
Yeah, I think Mariota. I think that was a particularly bad year last year. I don't think he's as bad as he was last year. I
think
he's just,
I just know Hugh Douglas, who obviously knew at the station, is and watched him in Atlanta last year, could not be more out.
I know he shouldn't be starting. He shouldn't have been a starter in Atlanta, and he also was playing with a bad offense, a lot of young.
But the Cowboys have shown they can win with Cooper Rush for what it's worth.
They play bad teams.
Yeah, I'm just putting that out there.
Come on. The Eagles have shown they can win.
The Eagles are the better team.
The Eagles won a Super Bowl with the backup quarterback.
I guess what I'm saying is what's more likely to happen? Everything goes Eagles way again, like I think we're gonna get some falling back down to earth a little bit here,
which is possible. So
Yeah.
you think Dallas wins the division? Your early call?
I think it's certainly possible.
I mean, because you've been very, I always rip you for it. And last year I used it for fun because I
Right.
did think the Eagles, and I was
Well, I did pick the Eagles. To
I
win the
was right
division
about
for what
that.
it's worth.
But you are big on the 18 straight years or whatever it is without,
Yeah.
so that has to factor into your.
No, look, I'd be curious if the divisional odds are up.
They are. Here, you keep talking.
Okay, I'll give your point. No, I mean, look, I just think that we have to also be honest with ourselves. Everything went right for the Eagles. A lot of things didn't go right for the Cowboys, and it took the Eagles till the last game of the season to clinch the division. Like, that is a reality. And I get that Hurts missed time and everything, but the Eagles, for everything that went right, did not clinch the division until the final game, and they had to bring back Hurts to do it. So, while I think they are better than the Cowboys for sure, like this idea that they're light years ahead of the Cowboys, I just don't even – I don't think it's true.
Light years is strong. I think they're better.
I think if the Eagles are a 10, the Cowboys are an 8.5.
Look, it's actually the Eagles are 10.5 and the Cowboys are 9.5.
So no. I mean, if you were to
joking.
Okay,
I got it. Yes, but that's the point. They're only a win apart. Like
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like the odds makers are not saying the Eagles are.
I also just think betting double-digit wins is always risky.
Yeah,
is the point I'm making.
Again, if you bet the Chiefs double-digit wins every year, you win every year. You know what I mean?
True.
Like if you bet the Chiefs over, you win every.
But the Chiefs also
year.
have a proven whatever.
But proven what?
Well, I'm saying like Andy Reid and Mahomes have done it.
I would take her. I mean, like I don't know if I take him more Mahomes, but certainly he's in that class.
Yeah. But I'm saying Andy and Mahomes are maybe the best like duo of provenness at the two most important spots. You like that? Thank you.
All right, NFC East odds: Eagles, the favorite at plus 110, so not a minus favorite.
Okay.
Cowboys plus 180, so obviously they have them pretty similar,
Close,
and plus 500 for the Giants, plus 900.
I think that's right. Like, I think this idea that the Giants are like in it, I think is wrong.
I agree with
and normally I like a long shot, but I do not like the Giants plus 500.
Yeah, I agree with you.
They will not win the division unless everything goes to complete shit.
There it is. All right, good. So we will be all over these futures moving forward. We'll do the MVP show. We'll talk about, the other win totals as Jack Fritz is in the hallway. I'm waving to him. Threw me off there for a sec. Final thoughts before we get out, everybody.
Man, I had a good one.
You had a whole list.
Yeah, I have one. Okay, so I think if you purchase an item, like a big item. So me and Kristen, with this whole water fiasco recently, we bought a water cooler. Like where you put like a jug on it and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? Okay.
So
yeah. Well, they actually do them now where you can put it under, which is pretty cool.
Really?
So anyway, we bought it.
Do the big lift in the home.
Yeah, exactly. So we bought it from a store, and it's not a super large item, but it's definitely not. You put it in a bag. Like it's a pretty, it's a pretty large item.
Mm-hmm.
So we buy it, we bring it home, and there's a huge dent in it. So we had to repackage it, and it was packaged up with like a ton of styrofoam, blah, blah, blah. I think if you purchase an item and it comes damaged and you return it, you should get a gift card to that store for the value of the item in addition to your money back.
Whoa!
If they're going to sell you an item that is tough to carry, tough to repack, and it's going to be damaged, I think you should get strongly compensated. It's ridiculous. I had to repackage it and drive it all the way back to the store.
Look, it sounds incredibly annoying, and I hate things like this.
Yeah,
I get super annoyed at stuff like that.
For what it's worth, I had to drive over to Jersey to do it. Not the end of the world.
Super aggressive though to give me the whole value.
Well, then guess what? There'd be some accountability, dude. Like, because what happened is we're in the store, and I won't say the name of the store, but all the boxes look like kind of dinged up, and Kristen's like, well, let's pick off the box, and I said, all these boxes are dead. I'm sure they're fine.
This is your fault.
And look, maybe they were all dented. I'm just saying at the end of the day, it didn't look like they put a ton of care and time into these boxes. Mm-hmm. I get all the way home. It's dented. I think that they're like, it's like if I ordered DoorDash or whatever and they forget an item. I think, again, there needs to be some accountability here where
I love accountability.
It's a helpless feeling.
I was just telling Zoe last night how important accountability was.
In this
she tried to say, that wasn't me. And I was like, no. I was like, when you do something wrong, you say you did something wrong. You say, my fault.
There you go.
Take accountability. And she's like, okay, Dad, I'm sorry, my fault. That's how you do it, Zoe.
That's what I'm saying. So
setting you up for life is important.
I think that
would be another one I would add. I've told you before, we've talked about the comfortable in your own skin, my number one life lesson for Zoe, but accountability would be high. Accountability would be very high on the list. No, there's nothing.
Not with takes, though. Well,
accountability.
But I think it's okay to change your mind.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
That's a different. But
that's
the
a
point
different
is you have to hand up and say, I was
wrong.
It was
that's
a bad
true.
take. I was wrong. I have accountability for that. Here's my new.
Yes.
So, exactly. Especially with everything like takes as well.
Right.
Accountability is important.
I agree with that.
No one likes it when someone's like, it's not my fault. It's like,
I agree with
It is your fault.
Well, unless it's not your fault.
Agree.
Yeah, because that's not being accountable.
That's explanations, not excuses. All right.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you do like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So wait, is your final take accountability?
I didn't have a final take, so
That's
I feel like
fair.
I would just.
Well, you were on a good roll.
So I had one. I realized I probably shouldn't. I had a line from the first episode of Succession. I've only seen the first one. I haven't gotten the second yet. Okay. There was a line that Logan Roy said that I just had as a final thought. Just I thought it was so funny that he said it, but it's probably a little too risque to say.
Okay, then maybe a little.
It's got the C word.
Yeah.
I feel like the C word.
I don't even think that's beyond earmuffs. That's like
we could say it.
If you see us at a live event
allowed,
and you want to hear James say the C word, maybe.
Yes.
But yeah.
Anyway, I thought if you've seen the first episode of Succession, the C word line from Logan Roy, hilarious.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right.
Good. This was great.
It was a good time. It's fun.
Just wrap it up now.
Yeah. Well, you're the one that.
I know. It's kind of like playing it out.
Yeah.
We
So
gotta
be
go
back.
outside.
Well, we'll be back later.
Out there. I'm trying to like avoid that as much as possible.
Oh yeah. There's talks of a pod later in the week, but if not,
there might be one.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
If not, there is Go Bridge Radio.
Go Bridge Radio, not me.
Not you, Saturday.
I will be at a wedding. Shout out to my buddy Chad,
Yeah.
getting married in Vermont. So I'll be going all weekend in Vermont. 6-hour drive with a 4-year-old after the show. That'll be
6 hours is just long enough for that stuff.
6 hours is the.
If it was 4, you could be like, well.
Dude, so that's my whole thing. I feel very. This is my final thought. Thank you
Okay.
for leaving me there. 4-hour drives. That's the limit.
Yeah.
Like I can do a 4-hour drive and feel fine.
No
doing
problem.
it,
Yeah.
No issues.
2 hours,
I'm
you're
cool
barely
being-
even driving.
2 hours, nothing.
Yeah.
Whatever. 4 hours. I can
6 hours.
Once
Is...
even once you're 4:01, like
Yeah.
1 minute past 4,
five
I'm
and a
out.
half.
I start getting uncomfortable. I start getting annoyed. I start getting 4 hours. That is my limit.
Well, and
That's
you're
my max.
very fidgety in a car, so I can only imagine.
Imagine, buddy. Imagine.
Poor Emily and Zoe for 6 hours. Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
They're probably not looking forward to it either. Well,
No.
but really, let's rephrase. Emily's not looking forward to it because Zoe's me.
Well, and
So
Zoe
it's
probably
really
doesn't even
Emily
know.
with 2 Jameses on the way
Yes.
up. It's going to be a tough beat.
God, Zoe should rent a car.
I know. All right, we are renting a car though. So here you go.
Are you?
Figured it's a little mini.
Yeah,
take an
it's a good point,
SUV,
yeah.
a bigger car up, so it'll be good.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Thank you.
Emily
I
should sit in the
turned you,
back
I
with
turned
you.
you on that one
Yeah.
really quickly.
All right.
All right. Hey, thank you to everyone who tuned in on the YouTube. We love you. It is awesome. We love seeing the chat. We love everyone who tunes in. Tune in next time. It's a lot of fun to watch it. I guess that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. He's later, Jim.
Ooh,
All righty. That was great. I
Good
thought those
stuff
were
as
both really
always in
good.
the
Yeah.
chat.
Hey.
Um,
You
Bye,
guys
guys.
rule.
We're
Thank you
outta
so
here.
much.